responsive. Amen? Mothers are responsive. They're also resourceful. I have 3 of them for ours. I couldn't stick with one. Mothers are responsive, they're resourceful, and they're responsible. Amen. Let me show you that very quickly in the text here. Amen? Moses' mother responded favorably to Pharaoh's daughter. I spoke a little bit on that. I'm not going to go too much more into that. Moses' mother was resourceful by accepting the remuneration that Pharaoh's daughter was offering her. She knew she would need that money in order to do the best that she could for Moses. And so she accepted the money from Pharaoh's daughter. Also, it was a way of her not getting too emotional. Because if she got emotional enough, she probably would have broken down and said to Pharaoh's daughter, well, I can't take this money because this is my child. You think Pharaoh's daughter would have given it to her? No. So she had to use the wisdom of God and be resourceful. And mothers, I'm saying to us today, God always gives us an opportunity in the times of crisis to see resources. There's no one that has the capability of coming up with resources more than a mother. When money is not there and she has to cook a meal for her children, she would take stuff that you wouldn't dream of and put it together and make a meal. Am I talking to any mothers out there? Amen. Amen. Yes, sir. Yeah. Regardless of what's happening, regardless of what the situation is, the mothers will find a way, even if they didn't eat, to make sure that their children is okay. So they're resourceful. Amen? And she is also responsible. Why I say that she's responsible? Because she, after doing what she needed to do, she could have held on to Moses. Amen? And tried to find another way. But what did she do? She returned Moses to Pharaoh's daughter. Somebody says she's responsible. Because sometimes in order to save the child, you got to lose them. You're not hearing what I'm saying. Amen? And for many mothers, amen, this is the part that many people do not understand about them. That's why when we see a mother that will go at the church step and leave a baby in a bag or in a basket, and we will call her wicked. But not understanding that sometimes within her inner self, she understands that she doesn't have the capacity to keep this child alive. And so rather than letting this child die, amen, from a lack of care, she would rather give it an opportunity to somebody else to take this child and save this child. Amen. Many of you out there that are here under the sound of my voice, you're blaming your mom right now because she may have allowed you to be adopted by somebody else. But you need to let that go, because sometimes what you didn't know is that at the time that she was facing a crisis in her life, and holding on to you may have meant death to you. And sometimes we don't stop to think about what they've been through or what they were going through at that point. But we already come to our conclusion, oh, she must have never liked me. She didn't like me from the time I was born because she gave me away. That's not always true. Sometimes it's circumstances that leads to that. Most mothers will not give up their children, and if they do, it has to be something that is noteworthy for them to even consider that. Amen. Look at Moses' mother here. She had to give up her child because in giving him up, she is saving his life. To her, his life is more important than trying to prove something to anybody else. Are you hearing me? And somebody is listening to this right now, and I want you to say, today God is saying, you need to forgive your mother for some of the decisions that she's made that you could not understand or you can't comprehend. But sometimes God gives them that inner ability to see stuff that's way beyond what you can see, because all we see is the here and now, but they see way down in the future.
Amen.
And sometimes they'll make decisions that we will question. But I want you to know today that God is saying you need to revisit your mother and thank her for whatever decision that she had to make that saved your life. Because the only reason that you're here today is because she made those decisions. And in the midst of those decisions, God has kept you.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Amen?
Amen.
So let's stop judging what we don't understand sometimes. Sometimes we don't know why people make the decisions that they have to make, and especially mothers when it comes to motherhood, because they will do everything in their power, if they're true mothers, to ensure that you are safe.
Amen.
Even if it means that they have to hurt doing it. Remember when Solomon had to make the decision with the two mothers?
Yes.
Amen. And he says, well, I'm going to make a decision here. Bring the sword. I'm going to cut the baby in two. And the one mother that was not a true mother says, okay, go ahead. Cut the baby. I'll have half and she'll have half. But somebody said the true mother. Somebody say the true mother.
And the true mother.
Amen. She did not allow that to happen. She said, no, I'd rather you give it to her. Give the whole baby to her.
Yeah.
Because the mother understood that the life of the child was more important than her getting satisfaction. Brings me to my last point. Yes. Because I'm talking about mothers here. Amen?
Amen.
And mothers are super loving. Somebody say mothers are super loving.
Mothers are super
Amen?
loving.
So Moses' mother gave up her son to save his life. Verse 10. Read that for me, Apostle. Verse number 10.
And the child grew,
Mm-hmm.
and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter,
Yes.
and he became her son.
Mm-hmm.
And she called his name Moses.
Amen.
And she said, because I drew him out of the water.
Amen. So she took this child, Moses, back to Pharaoh's daughter. And when she brought it to the child to her, she gave the child to her. And she heard what name Pharaoh's daughter was now giving her child. And she didn't trip. Y'all didn't hear what you got to look in the intricate part of this to see this. She gave up her child. And whatever name that she may have pondered on was of no relevance right now. She had to hear Pharaoh's daughter name her child.
My God.
And she was okay with it because she understood that it's more than just a name. And that name also meant something. Because that name represented all the things that I've been through to get him to this point.
My God.
Amen?
Amen.
And what she was saying is that my love for my son is greater than my satisfaction of having him close to me. Amen?
Amen.
Remember Abraham had to give up Isaac Sarah also did. She just didn't know. Because you know, if Sister Sarah knew, there would have been war up in there. Amen? But God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son,
Amen.
that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. I'm giving you examples of people that had to give up what they love to see that vision come alive.
Amen.
Amen?
Amen.
Her wisdom and super love helped to produce the greatest deliverer in the Old Testament.
Amen.
Because God allowed him to be trained by the ones that he was going to deliver his people from. Somebody say a seer. The mother was a seer. The mother was a prophet. She could see down the line, because what she said about the child when he was born, he is a what? Goodly child. Amen? She saw the good in him and decided she could not let him go. But at the end, she displayed a super love that we know is innate as being a characteristic in true mothers.
Amen.
Today, I want to thank God for all mothers. I want to thank God because you are truly God's gift, God's choicest gift to humanity. And I pray today that you will appreciate the fact that what God has placed in you is unique, and that whatever you do, that today you will give God praise for how he has made you and for how he's allowed you to function, even when sometimes you were misunderstood. But God, in his wise providence, allowed you to occupy that spot so that you can bring salvation. He allowed you to occupy that spot so that you can show the true characteristic of true mothers.